I ate alone on my 75th birthday while my family was on vacation using my money. My 75th birthday was supposed to be special. I'd been promised something I hadn't had in years, a little joy, a little sunshine, and a reason to feel seen again. So I got dressed, I cooked, I waited. But what happened that day changed how I saw everything and everyone around me. I may be old, but I'm not blind, and I'm certainly not helpless. Before I begin my story, I just want to say thank you for listening to me pour my heart out. Let me know in the comments where you're listening from and what time it is. I love hearing from you. And if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button. It helps me more than you know. Now let me tell you what really happened. My name is Margaret, but everyone calls me Mama D. I live in a small blue house on Maple Street. The paint is chipping a little and the front steps creak when you walk on them, but it's home. It's been home for 43 years. I have a son named Andre. He's 35 now, married to a woman named Brianna. They have a little girl called Imani who just turned 7. She has the brightest smile and loves to draw pictures of butterflies. At least, she used to draw them for me. My husband Harold died 3 years ago. He was my best friend for 52 years. After he passed, the house got very quiet. Too quiet. The only sounds were the old refrigerator humming and the clock on the wall going tick, tick, tick. Sometimes I would talk to Harold's picture just to hear a voice in the house. Andre used to visit more when his daddy was alive. They would sit on the porch and talk about football and fixing cars. But after Harold died, Andre's visits got shorter and shorter. Sometimes weeks would go by without seeing him. I understood. People get busy. Life happens. Work, family, bills. I know how it is. I raised a child too. I worked 2 jobs for years to put Andre through school. I cleaned offices at night and watched other people's babies during the day. My hands were always dry from washing dishes and scrubbing floors. But I did it with love. Everything I did was for my boy. So when Andre showed up at my door on a cold February morning with the biggest smile on his face, my heart jumped like a teenager's. "Mama," he said, stepping into my kitchen and rubbing his hands together, "I got some good news for you." I poured him a cup of coffee and added 2 sugars, just how he liked it when he was little. "What's that, baby?" "We're planning something special for your 75th birthday," he said, his eyes sparkling. "A real vacation, somewhere warm and beautiful." I almost dropped my coffee mug. "A vacation?" "Yes, ma'am. The whole family. You, me, Brianna, little Imani. We're thinking about Florida, maybe the beach. You always talked about wanting to see the ocean again." My eyes filled with tears. I hadn't been anywhere in years except church on Sundays and the grocery store on Wednesdays. The last time I saw a beach was on my honeymoon with Harold in 1970. We took pictures by the water, and I wore a yellow sundress that made me feel like a movie star. "Andre, honey, that sounds wonderful," I said, wiping my eyes with a dish towel. "But how much will something like that cost?"
He waved his hand like he was shooing away a fly. "Don't you worry about that, Mama. You worked your whole life, didn't you? You deserve this. You raised me. You took care of Daddy when he was sick. You never spent money on yourself. It's time somebody took care of you." I felt so warm inside, like sunshine was spreading through my chest. "Are you sure, baby?" "I'm positive. Just pack your good dresses and leave everything else to us. We're going to make this the best birthday you ever had." For the rest of February and all through March, that trip was all I could think about. I would lie in bed at night and imagine walking on the sand. I pictured Imani building sandcastles and Andre teaching her how to find seashells. I imagined eating dinner at a restaurant with music playing and people laughing. I started making lists of what to pack. I went through my closet and found my prettiest dresses. I bought new underwear and a bottle of lotion that smelled like coconut. I even found Harold's old camera in the bottom drawer and made sure it still worked. The best part was having something to look forward to. For 3 years, every day felt the same. Wake up, make coffee, watch the morning news, eat a small lunch, watch my soap opera, eat a small dinner, go to bed. The same routine over and over until the days blurred together like gray paint. But now I had a reason to smile. I had something exciting coming. I felt alive again. In early April, Andre called to say they were still working out the details. "Don't worry, Mama. We want everything to be perfect. It'll line up right with your birthday in May, I promise." A week later, he came by to borrow my credit card. "Just to lock in the hotel rates and book the airplane tickets," he explained. "You know how expensive everything gets if you wait too long." I hesitated for just a second. I had been careful with money since Harold died. His pension and my Social Security were enough to pay the bills, but there wasn't much extra. The credit card was for emergencies only. But this was my son, my baby boy who used to climb into my lap when he had bad dreams. The boy I taught to ride a bicycle and helped with homework every night. If I couldn't trust Andre, who could I trust? I handed him the card. "Just don't go crazy, you hear?" He laughed and kissed my forehead. "I love you, Mama. This is going to be so special." 2 weeks later, I bought a suitcase. It was purple with little wheels and a handle that pulled up and down. It was on sale at the department store for $39. I had never owned such a nice suitcase. I put it right by the front door where I could see it every day. It made the trip feel real, like it was really going to happen. I started packing slowly, carefully. My blue dress with the tiny flowers, my white sandals that were comfortable for walking, a sun hat I found at the thrift store, some books to read by the pool, Harold's lucky handkerchief for good luck. Every night I would add something new to the suitcase, a pretty scarf, a new lipstick, sunglasses that made me feel mysterious and glamorous. May was almost here. My 75th birthday was almost here. And for the first time in 3 years, I was truly, completely happy. I should have known it was too good to be true.
The night before my 75th birthday, I couldn't sleep. I was too excited. I kept getting up to check my purple suitcase one more time. Everything was perfect and ready. I had laid out my favorite dress on the chair, the one with hibiscus flowers that Harold always said made me look 10 years younger. My good jewelry was on the dresser, waiting. Even my shoes were polished and sitting by the door. At around 9 o'clock, my phone rang. It was Andre. "Hey, Mama," he said. His voice sounded funny, rushed, like he was driving fast or running somewhere. "Hi, baby. I'm so excited I can barely stand it. What time do we leave tomorrow?" There was a long pause. Too long. My stomach started to feel funny. "Mama, I hate to say this, but the trip is getting pushed back a little bit." The words hit me like cold water. "What do you mean, pushed back?" "Just a few more weeks, maybe a month. There's some scheduling stuff on our end that got messed up." I sat down hard on my bed. The purple suitcase was staring at me from across the room. "But tomorrow is my birthday, Andre." "I know, Mama, I know, and I feel terrible about it. But this will be even better because we'll have more time to plan everything perfect." My throat felt tight. "So what about tomorrow? Will you still come for dinner?" Another pause. Shorter this time, but it felt like forever. "Of course," he said. "Wouldn't miss it. We'll stop by for sure. Maybe around 6? "Okay," I whispered. "I'll cook something nice." "Sounds great, Mama. I love you. Get some sleep." After he hung up, I sat on my bed holding the phone. Part of me was disappointed about the trip, but at least my family would be here for my birthday dinner. That was something. That was enough. I barely slept that night, but when morning came, I pushed the sadness away. Today was still my 75th birthday. Today was still special. I got up early and put on my gospel music. I opened all the curtains to let the sunshine in. I made a big pot of coffee and started cooking. Fried chicken with my secret spice mix. Sweet candied yams with butter and cinnamon. Macaroni and cheese made from scratch, not from a box. Fresh green beans cooked with smoked turkey, and a sweet potato pie that took me 3 hours to make from start to finish. I used real vanilla extract, not the fake kind. I whipped the cream by hand until my arm hurt. I wanted everything to be perfect. I set the dining room table with my good china, the white plates with gold trim that I only used for Christmas and Easter. I polished the silverware until it sparkled. I folded the cloth napkins just right and put out the crystal water glasses that were a wedding gift 52 years ago. I made place settings for 5 people. Me, Andre, Brianna, little Amani, and maybe Tyrell from down the street if they wanted to invite him. Tyrell was like a grandson to me. He always checked on me and helped carry my groceries. I put on my blue dress with the hibiscus flowers. I curled my hair with the hot rollers. I put on lipstick and a little bit of perfume behind my ears. I looked in the mirror and smiled. I looked good. I looked ready for my family to celebrate with me. At 4 o'clock, I lit the tall white candles in the middle of the table. The house smelled like heaven, like love and warmth and celebration. At 5 o'clock, I checked the chicken one more time. Perfect and crispy. I turned the oven to warm to keep everything hot. At 6 o'clock, I sat in my chair at the head of the table and waited. They would be here any minute. Maybe they were just running a little late. Traffic could be bad. Or maybe they stopped to buy flowers or a cake. At 7 o'clock, I got up and reheated everything. The chicken was getting a little dry, but it would still be good. I checked my face in the hallway mirror. My lipstick was still perfect. At 8 o'clock, I walked to the front window and looked down the street. No cars coming. I sat back down at the table. The candles had burned down halfway. Wax was dripping onto the tablecloth. At 9 o'clock, I got up and reheated everything again. My hands were shaking a little bit. I told myself not to worry. Something probably came up. Maybe little Amani got sick. Maybe the car broke down. Maybe there was an emergency at work. At 10 o'clock, I was still sitting at the table alone. The candles were almost burned out. The food was getting cold again. My dress felt too tight. My feet hurt in the good shoes. I stared at the empty chairs around me. 4 empty plates, 4 empty glasses, 4 cloth napkins folded perfectly for people who weren't coming. That's when I knew. Deep in my heart, I knew nobody was coming. My son had forgotten me. My daughter-in-law had forgotten me. My granddaughter had forgotten me. On my 75th birthday, I was completely alone. I picked up my fork with shaking hands. I took a small bite of the sweet potato pie I had worked so hard on. It tasted like sadness, like wasted time and broken promises. I couldn't eat anymore. I pushed the plate away and put my head in my hands. That's when the tears came. Not loud crying, just quiet tears that slipped down my cheeks and fell onto the good china. I cried for the trip that wasn't happening. I cried for the family dinner that wasn't happening. I cried for feeling so stupid and forgotten. I sat there for a long time, listening to my own breathing and the tick, tick, tick of the wall clock. The house felt bigger and emptier than it ever had before. At almost 11 o'clock, I blew out what was left of the candles. I wrapped up all the food and put it in the refrigerator. I washed the good china very carefully and put it back in the cabinet. I took off my pretty dress and hung it up. I washed my face and brushed my teeth. I put on my nightgown and sat on the edge of my bed. The purple suitcase was still by the door, still packed, still waiting for a trip that might never happen. I turned off the light and lay down. I folded my hands on my chest and stared at the ceiling fan going around and around. "Happy birthday to me," I whispered in the dark. But there was no joy in those words, only the bitter taste of being forgotten by the people I loved most in the world. The morning after my 75th birthday, I woke up feeling hollow inside, like someone had scooped out my heart with a spoon and left nothing but empty space. I sat on the edge of my bed for a long time, staring at that purple suitcase by the door. The price tag was still hanging from the handle, swaying slightly in the breeze from the ceiling fan. Everything felt different now. The house felt colder. The silence felt heavier. Even the sunlight coming through my bedroom curtains looked gray and sad. I shuffled to the kitchen in my slippers and made a cup of tea. But when I sat down to drink it, I just held it in my hands and let it get cold. I opened the refrigerator and saw all the leftover food from yesterday. Containers and containers of the meal I had cooked with so much love for people who never came. I closed the refrigerator door and walked to the living room. I sat on my old couch and wrapped Harold's knit blanket around my shoulders. It still smelled like him, like aftershave and peppermint gum. The phone sat on the coffee table in front of me, silent. Still no calls. Not even a text message saying, "Sorry we missed your birthday, Mama." Nothing. I kept telling myself there had to be a good reason. Maybe someone got sick. Maybe there was a family emergency. Maybe their car broke down and their phones died and they couldn't call me. But deep down, a little voice in my head whispered, "Stop making excuses for them, Margaret. They just didn't care enough to come." Around noon, I heard a knock at my door. 3 gentle taps. I looked through the peephole and saw Tyrell standing on my porch with a plastic bag in his hand. "Hey, Miss D," he said when I opened the door. "I brought you that lemon dish soap you mentioned last week." Tyrell was 22 years old with kind eyes and a smile that reminded me of my grandson who lived far away. His grandmother had raised him right before she passed. Now he lived alone in the little house 2 doors down and always looked out for me. "Oh, bless your heart," I said, stepping aside to let him in. "Come in, baby. You want some tea?" "Yes, ma'am. That sounds good." He set the bag on my kitchen counter and looked around. "Miss D, you feeling all right? You look a little tired." I didn't want to burden him with my problems. "I'm fine, honey. Just didn't sleep well last night." But Tyrell has sharp eyes. He noticed the dishes still in the sink from yesterday. He saw the leftover food containers covering my counter. He saw the sadness I was trying to hide. "You still having trouble with that phone?" he asked, pointing to where it sat on the coffee table. "Oh, yes," I said, grateful for the change of subject. "It keeps freezing up on me. You know how I am with technology." Tyrell smiled and picked up my phone. "Let me take a look." He sat down at my kitchen table and started pressing buttons and swiping the screen. I went back to the counter and started putting away the soap just to give my hands something to do.
"Miss D," Tyrell said after a few minutes. His voice sounded different, careful. "When's the last time you checked your Facebook?" "Facebook?" I laughed a little. "Baby, I don't even know how to use that thing. Andre set it up for me years ago, but I never figured it out." Tyrell was quiet for a long moment, too quiet. I turned around to look at him. His face was serious, almost angry. "Miss D, I think you need to see something." My heart started beating faster. "What is it?" He held up my phone. On the screen was a picture I had never seen before, a picture of Andre and Brianna and little Amani. They were standing on a beach. The ocean was bright blue behind them. They were all wearing new summer clothes and big smiles. Where is that?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Tyrell's jaw was tight. "Florida. Posted yesterday. Your birthday." I stared at the picture. Andre was wearing a bright yellow shirt I had never seen before. Brianna had on a beautiful white sundress. Little Amani was holding a beach ball and grinning at the camera. "Maybe it's an old picture," I said weakly. Tyrell swiped to show me more photos. Andre building a sandcastle with Amani. Brianna in a fancy restaurant holding a drink with a little umbrella in it. All of them by a hotel pool. Every photo was stamped with yesterday's date. My birthday. "There's more," Tyrell said quietly. He showed me a video of Andre and Amani splashing in the ocean waves. I could hear Brianna laughing behind the camera. "We're having such an amazing time," Andre's voice said from the tiny phone speaker. "This vacation is exactly what we needed." The phone slipped from my hands and clattered on the table. They were on vacation. The vacation Andre had promised me. The vacation he said was pushed back. The vacation he said was too expensive unless we planned it perfectly. While I sat alone at my dining room table with cold food and melted candles, my family was living it up on the beach, eating at fancy restaurants, staying in a beautiful hotel, having the time of their lives. "Miss D?" Tyrell's voice sounded far away. "You okay?" I wasn't okay. I felt like I was falling down a deep hole. My chest felt tight. My hands were shaking. "How? How did they pay for this?" Tyrell's face got even more serious. "Miss D, didn't you give Andre your credit card?" The words hit me like a truck. My credit card, the one Andre borrowed to lock in the hotel rates for our trip. The one he said he needed to buy airplane tickets for the whole family. He had used my own money to take his family on vacation without me. On my 75th birthday. Those lions stealing, I couldn't even finish the sentence. I was so angry I couldn't see straight. Tyrell reached across the table and took my hand. "Miss D, I'm so sorry. This is wrong. This is really, really wrong." I pulled up my online banking on the phone with Tyrell's help. My credit card balance made my stomach drop. $4,847.52 for a trip I wasn't even invited on. Hotel rooms, airplane tickets, restaurant meals, shopping trips, beach activities, all charged to my card while I sat home alone eating cold chicken and crying into my good china. I looked at more pictures. Andre and his family looking happy and relaxed, tanned and smiling, not a care in the world. Not one single thought about the old woman who had raised Andre, who had worked 2 jobs to send him to college, who had trusted him with her credit card because she believed he loved her. "I'm calling the police," Tyrell said, reaching for his phone. "No," I said. My voice was stronger now, steadier. "Not yet." "Miss D, they stole from you. They lied to you. They abandoned you on your birthday." "I know," I said, standing up slowly. "But I'm not helpless, and I'm not done yet." For the first time in 24 hours, I smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. It was the smile of a woman who had been pushed too far. Andre thought I was just a lonely old lady who would sit quietly and take whatever scraps of attention he threw my way. He was about to learn different. I may be 75 years old, but I still had some fight left in me, and my boy was about to find out exactly what happens when you mess with Margaret Davis. I spent the rest of that day planning. Not crying, not feeling sorry for myself. Planning. Tyrell stayed with me for hours, helping me understand everything on my phone and computer. We printed out all the pictures of Andre's vacation family. We made copies of my credit card statements. We wrote down dates and times of every lie Andre had told me. "Miss D, you sure you don't want me to call the police?" Tyrell asked for the 3rd time. "Not yet, baby," I said, my voice steady and strong. "I want to handle this my way first." That night, I didn't sleep much, but it wasn't because I was sad anymore. It was because I was planning exactly what I was going to say to my son when he got home from his stolen vacation. 3 days later, Andre called me. "Hey, Mama,"
he said, his voice all cheerful and fake. "How you doing? Sorry I haven't called. We've been really busy with work stuff." I almost laughed. "Work stuff?" "Yeah, you know how it is. Anyway, I wanted to talk to you about rescheduling that trip. Maybe we can plan something for next month." "Andre," I said calmly, "I need you to come over today. We need to talk." "Everything okay, Mama? You sound funny." "Everything is fine. Just come over around 2 o'clock. Bring Brianna and Imani too." Uh, okay, sure, we'll be there." At exactly 2 o'clock, I heard Andre's car pull into my driveway. I was sitting at my kitchen table wearing my best church dress, the one that made me feel powerful and dignified. All the printed pictures were spread out on the table in front of me. The credit card statements were there too. Everything was organized and ready. Andre walked in first, followed by Brianna and little Imani. They all looked healthy and happy, tanned from their beach vacation, relaxed and smiling. "Hey, Mama," Andre said, leaning down to kiss my cheek. "You look nice. What's all this paperwork?" "Sit down," I said quietly. "All of you." Something in my voice made them stop smiling. Andre and Brianna sat down across from me. Imani climbed onto her mother's lap. I picked up the first picture. Andre and Brianna on the beach, holding hands and laughing. "This is a beautiful picture," I said, showing it to them. "You both look so happy." Andre's face went white. Brianna's mouth fell open. "Mama, I can explain." "No," I said firmly. "You're going to listen. For once in your life, you're going to sit there and listen to me." I held up another picture. Imani building a sandcastle. "This one is my favorite. My granddaughter looks like she's having the time of her life. On the beach, in Florida, on my 75th birthday." Andre started to say something, but I held up my hand. "While you were taking these pictures, I was sitting alone at my dining room table. I had cooked for hours. I had set the table with my good china. I had lit candles and put on my best dress. I waited for you until almost midnight. I waited for my son, the boy I raised by myself when your daddy was working 2 jobs. The boy I put through college by cleaning offices and watching other people's children. The boy I trusted with my credit card because I thought he loved me." I spread out the credit card statements. $4,847. That's how much my love cost you. That's how much you stole from me so you could take your family on vacation while I ate cold chicken alone on my birthday. Tears were running down Brianna's face. Imani was looking confused, sensing the tension in the room. "Mama, I was going to pay you back," Andre said weakly. "With what money?" I asked. "You've been borrowing from me for 2 years. You still owe me for the car repairs. You still owe me for Imani's school clothes. You still owe me for Christmas presents. When exactly were you planning to pay me back?" Andre couldn't answer. He just stared at the table. "You want to know what hurts the most?" I said. "It's not the money. It's not even missing the vacation. It's that you looked me in the eye and lied to me. Over and over again. You made me believe I mattered to you." I stood up slowly, my arthritis making my knees creak. "Well, I've got news for you, Andre. I do matter. I matter a lot. And I'm not going to let you treat me like a fool anymore." I walked to the counter and picked up some papers Tyrell had helped me prepare. "I've closed the credit card account. I've changed all my passwords. I've spoken to the bank about fraud protection, and I've made an appointment with a lawyer." Andre's head snapped up. "Mama, you don't need to." "Yes, I do. Because if you'll steal from me, you'll steal from other people too. And I won't be responsible for that." I sat back down and looked at my granddaughter. "Imani, baby, come here."
She slid off her mother's lap and came to me. I hugged her tight. "I love you so much," I whispered in her ear. "And I want you to remember something. Always tell the truth. Always keep your promises. And always, always take care of the people who love you." I looked back at Andre and Brianna. "You have two choices. You can pay me back every penny you stole, or I can press charges for theft. You have 30 days to decide." Andre looked like he was going to be sick. "Mama, please, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry." "Sorry doesn't pay my bills. Sorry doesn't give me back my 75th birthday. Sorry doesn't erase the fact that you used my own money to abandon me." I walked them to the door. "And Andre, don't call me asking for money anymore. Don't call me asking for favors. Don't call me at all until you figure out how to be the man I raised you to be." After they left, I sat on my porch and watched the sunset. For the first time in months, I felt proud of myself. I felt strong. Tyrell came over later with Chinese food and we ate dinner together. He told me stories about his job and his girlfriend. I told him about Harold and the early days of our marriage. "Miss D," he said as he was leaving, "I'm proud of you. What you did today took real courage." "Thank you, baby," I said. "You know what? I'm proud of me too." The moral of the story? Sometimes the people we love the most are the ones who hurt us the deepest. But being old doesn't mean being helpless. Being kind doesn't mean being weak. And loving someone doesn't mean letting them walk all over you. You are never too old to stand up for yourself. You are never too old to demand respect. You are never too old to say enough is enough and mean it. Family should lift you up, not tear you down. Love should make you feel valued, not forgotten. And trust should be earned every single day, not taken for granted. If someone treats you like you don't matter, believe them. Then show them that you matter more than they ever imagined. Thank you so much for listening to my story. I know it was long, but I hope it touched your heart. I hope it reminded you that every person deserves to be treated with love and respect, no matter how old they are. If this story meant something to you, please hit that like button. Leave me a comment and tell me what you think. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this one. Remember, you are valuable. You are important. And you deserve better than being forgotten. Until next time, take care of yourselves and take care of each other.